Hello, can you guys hear me? We'll wait for the chat to confirm that. We can. Okay, so I've been talking for about the last 75 seconds or so it's Zach Johnson's fault, but I'll go over this again. Welcome, guys, to the Gobbler's Knob Deer Camp 200 here at the ONEwraps Cup Clash Windshield Deep Racing League in the 87 car. I am Kevin McAdams, and I will say this. Sean Butler is not here. Sean Butler is not here tonight because of a broken microphone, so you will get all too much of me tonight instead of Sean. So you know how Sean talks all day and all night. We're going to be dealing with me for the rest of the evening. So we'll go over the starting grid really fast because I did it already, but I'll do it again. We'll get that pulled up here in just a second. Chris Davis is on your pole. Give a nice shout out to the Doobie brother, Chris Davis. Brett Bunkari, newcomer on the front row, will be rolling off second. Matt Kingsbury third. Dylan Wilson fourth. Dominic Corelli will roll off in fifth. Ricky Harden in sixth. Casey Pierce starts seventh. Brian Smith eighth. Mason Maggio will roll off ninth. Max Price will round out your top 10. Eric Wilson in 11th. Lance Ripka in 12th position. Row 7, a doozy. Jack Bailey and Ethan Tingler. That's a dangerous row 7 if I've ever seen one. Derek Nickel will be starting in 15th position. Davey Davis will round out the outside row of row 8. Spencer Dickinson, 17th. Jacob Hayes, 18th. Landon Huffman and Andy Trupiano will round out your top 20, rounding out the rest of the field. 30 drivers tonight. Oliver Cordell, Grayson Moore, Josh Cottle, Seth Harrelson, Drew Cox, Matt Light, Tim Tripler, Lee Norton, Dexter Knight Jr, and Kyle Fergata. So we won't include that official there. So looks like I don't know what this restart is. I guess because of all these end of longest line penalties, looks like we're gonna have maybe about 12 rows of side by side, and then a bunch of people taking the the end of longest line penalty. I think they know this is going to be a shit show, if you will. Pace truck is off. 80 laps tonight, little over 200 miles here at the Alabama International Speedway. And you're not going to want that here at Talladega. He is gone. They're going about 170 miles an hour back here. Brett Bunkari already has about a second lead, so I don't know what's going on for the rest of this field. Chris Davis absolutely jumbled these guys up. Still got a good lead. They're going to be 3 wide. Ricky Harden giving a big shove to Chris Davis. He's going to back out, but they're 3 wide right now for second. And Dylan Wilson loose on that outside line, still side by side for that second position. The field going to be catching here Brett Bunkari. He got a big run, but I don't think he's going to finish in the lead on the end of this lap. Here comes Chris Davis, Matt Kingsbury to the inside, Ricky Harden under that outside line. They're going to be side by side all the way back to about 10th position. And there's someone up against the wall. I think that's Ethan Tingler. He gets loose on that outside line. These guys are just trying to find themselves right now, much like a teenager in high school, just trying to figure out who they are on this track. And it's a long night for these guys. Last time they came here, they were really aggressive, and they're upside down. Someone is upside down. That is Ethan Tingler. Upside down is the number 19 machine. Not sure what happened there. He is absolutely done for the day. Blown engine for that Kingdom number 19 machine. We'll get a replay here. Looks like he just got up against the wall. He got up against the wall. They were almost 4 wide there. He got up against the wall and lost it. Hit Andy Trupiano. We'll have to see if he had any damage on that. But tough break there for Ethan. He was struggling on that first lap, and it's really unfortunate to see the guy who started in the top 15 today, and it looks like with that blown engine, he will be the number 30. It looks like we did have 30 drivers tonight. It looks like he will finish in the 30th position. What a save by Andy there. But caution is out, and hopefully we won't get a lot of these because I can only vamp for so long. So what we're going to do, as you can hear the dogs, we're going to get Landon, we're going to bring up a lot of people tonight, and you're the first. How you doing, man?
Rather stressed.
Well, I was just about to mention to the audience, this race last season was probably one of the biggest shit shows of the season, just because of the aggressiveness, people flipping. What is your strategy going into tonight's 80 lapper?
I was gonna say I'd stay at the back, but that seems like that's just as hazardous as going to the front. So I really don't have a strategy at this point. I'm gonna roll down pit road though. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get the broadcast over on my second monitor and grab me an ice cream and an extra White Claw, and then I'm gonna rejoin the racing surface here in just a second. So I'm gonna roll on down pit road.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's a good strategy, is just staying in the pits, because as we saw, Ethan Tingler upside down pretty much by himself. Are you working with anybody tonight, or is it pretty much every man for themselves here in the 87s?
Yeah, team total advantage is Jack Bailey, Derek Nickel. Derek's off like a 4-race suspension, and Jack's headset's not working, so we're in really good shape so far.
Yeah, it sounds like your communication is going to be off the charts. Fantastic tonight. Well, good luck tonight. I think we're going to both need it here at Talladega. It's going to be an eventful evening, 80 laps here, and we're already under caution on lap 3. So good luck out there, man. I think you're going to need it.
I'm sorry you're up there by yourself.
Oh no, this is an opportunity. I was thinking, maybe one day I'll have no choice but to do this, and then, sure enough, it was today. So
hold on a second. How the hell do we have 100 viewers on Twitch?
I'm telling you, man. Sean was holding us back. You should just leave me here up on my.
Sean's fired.
Sean, you're fired. You can keep your mic off.
By the way, if anybody wants to buy Sean a new mic, he's in dire need of one. Apparently, or maybe a new PC. We're not sure.
Well, the PC is new. Yeah, he can just walk out to the living room at any time if he wants. He can pull up a chair.
Yeah, there we go. Just a duo.
Yeah.
One mic.
Yeah.
2 guys, 1 mic.
Ooh.
Okay. Move it back down, damn it.
All right. We're working on it. Take it easy, man. All right. Yeah, we're going to have to do that a whole lot tonight. I believe it was Jordan that did rate us. Thank you very much, Jordan. Sorry about the audio issues. It is literally a 2-man show tonight, as if it would make things any better without Sean. It looks like the viewership is already up tenfold after last week. So maybe we'll go about this the rest of the year. But we'll go ahead and let's look at the standings. I'll go ahead and discuss those. It is a full-on season here at the Windshield Deep Racing League ONEwraps Cup Clash. And your current points leader as of right now, let's go ahead and pull that up. If I can find it. Normally I just click this and it's up. And it's not up. Go to standings. There we go. Landon Huffman is your points leader. He currently has 199 points. Was tied for the points at one point, for the point lead rather at one point. He has now taken over that points lead with 2 wins, 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s. Matt Kingsbury in second. Andy Trupiano right behind both those guys. 193 points for Andy, 196 for Matt Kingsbury. So we got a 3-horse race here for the championship lead. Dylan Wilson right behind them with 186 points in 4th. And Grayson Ward, both those guys, Dylan Wilson and Grayson, do not have wins this year. They've both been very close. So they're chomping at the bit looking to get something going this week. And we had a first-time winner here at the Windshield Deep Season 2 event. We had Spencer Dickinson winning last season after, I would say, probably the one of the biggest wrecks from a lap car. Kevin Light, there's a clip out there somewhere, I believe, on the what the kids say TikTok. They clipped that and put it on there. It was an absolute show, and it looks like I might be getting joined by somebody here, as we're 1 to green at the moment. Is that Sam Watson?
It is.
How you doing,
He's
Sam?
on the way. Well, we were doing okay.
Sorry to take you away from your activities for the night, but thankfully we should go pretty quickly here if we can get green. What were you doing before, Sam? What did we take you away from?
I was sitting in my bed, watching TV.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm really sorry to bring you over here. Well, I don't know if you know. I'm sure you got hounded by Zach, but Sean's mic died, and unfortunately, there's not much you can really do without a microphone if you want to commentate. So we're leading it tonight. Pace truck going to be pulling off this time by pretty much the same up front. Chris Davis and Brett Pancari still first and second. Third is going to be Matt Kingsbury, Ricky Hart, and Mason Maggio, one of the newcomers here in the top five. Biggest runner, or hardest charger rather, is Oliver Cordell. Started 21st. He is all the way up to second after one green flag lap, about a lap and a half, as they slowly go through the tribal. Big checkup from Mason Maggio. He checks up the field. Max Price also checks up the field. So set sail is the 51 and the 12 machine of Chris Davis and Matt Kingsbury. So like Landon mentioned earlier, there is nowhere safe in this pack, and this field is already spread out pretty significantly. Chris Davis, Matt Kingsbury by themselves, first guy outside that pack. Behind them, Mason Maggio emerges from it. Dylan Wilson all over the back end of his machine. Ricky Harden looking to get it underneath as well. Brett Pancari is falling like a rock on that outside line. And Dylan Wilson going to the middle, going to the outside line now. And he's going to try to get around that number 64 machine of Mason Maggio. Sam, are you set yet?
I'm ready to roll. Let's go.
All right. Down into turn 4. Hopefully we can get a green flag lap here. Looks like we are. Still side by side for that number 3 position. Mason Maggio doing a really good job right now. Started 9th, up to 5th. But right now, that outside line is digging outside on that outside line, Sam.
And the front two got away for just a little bit, but this draft at Talladega, it just reels you back in here. Mason Maggio leads them down low. Dylan Wilson trying to rally the troops up high. You've got a pack of about 10 cars that are broken away. Then you've got one single car back there in the very back. I think that's Dexter Knight Jr. And then the big pack in the rear. So a little bit of a spread out field here at Talladega. And side by side up front, we have a battle for the lead in turn 3.
A little bit of jostling here at the front. Looks like Kingsbury wants that lead. Settled behind Chris Davis for about a lap and a half. Thought they were going to try to get away here for a second, but Matt Kingsbury wants that lead. Mason Maggio going to get all over the back of that Chevy Monte Carlo of Chris Davis, and he's going to give him a little bit of a shove. There is a little bit of a bubble here in these 87s, so you can kind of transfer that draft energy down the straightaways, especially if you can get right on that bumper, but they're going to be side by side through 1 and 2 here.
And Kingsbury just kind of slides up the hill just a little bit, almost gets a piece of the wall. Davis rallies back down low, but that top lane likes to roll off the corner here. And I think they have the stronger help as they draw even here. Here comes Kingsbury. He's going to get a nice little shove from Dylan Wilson down the backstretch. Wilson looks a little bit higher. And as we know, Kevin, the steering box in these cars are really weird because they like to just kind of teeter-totter down the straightaways if you do too much input as they go sliding into turn 3 there. A little bit of contact almost between the 64 of Mason Maggio and Dylan Wilson as they come off turn 4. Still side by side for the race lead.
Yeah, Sam, you mentioned it. You really got to wrestle these cars. The steering boxes, like you said, they're really high, so you got to put a lot of wheel into it. So if he gets sideways like Chris Davis does, sideways is the 12 machine. He saves it all the way to the inside fence, and he's going to save it. He's going to lose the draft. He's going to have to slow down considerably on that apron. Back in the day, that would have been probably a massive wreck. There's a lot of grass that used to be there. Now it's all paved. So he's going to fall all the way back to the end of this field. And he still might be in the draft here, Sam. You got Kyle Vergata back here. He's hitting the wall, and there's someone else wrecking. Who is that? That's Kevin Light. That's Matt Light. Sorry, in the 23 machine. No caution yet. He's off the track surface, but as we can see here, Sam, it's hard to even go around here by yourself.
And it is, as we now look back up at the front of the race, at the front of the lead pack, we have a new leader. It's Oliver Cordell. He was leading them. They almost crashed as Chris Davis took his slide there. Matt Kingsbury got a piece of the outside safer barrier, and it almost got ugly for the rest of these contenders here at the front. As you're mentioning, Kevin, though, is that these cars are a handful by themselves, and it's just the way that I think the presence of another car can just upset these cars easily. Oh, and there goes a contact right there. There's going to be a crash. Ricky Harden's around, and it's going to be collecting several more cars here at Talladega as the caution's on the speedway. Look out behind them.
Second caution of the evening. These guys are not slowing down. I don't know who that is. Oh, I think that's Lance Ripka almost got into the back of Ricky Harden. Landon Huffman had to make an evasive maneuver as well. But that's going to bring out our second caution and 1/8 of the way into this event. It looked like, I believe, Ricky Harden got loose in the middle of that 3-wide skirmish between him, Kingsbury, and I believe underneath him was Mason Maggio. But that's a tough break for these guys. It just looked like you mentioned, he got a little bit loose there. And fortunately, it only took out him and Kingsbury. That could have been a massive one.
Yeah, and as I was trying to get clicked back there, I saw that pack coming up on them there, and I was like, I hope that they can get on the binders because these cars don't have the brakes that the Cup cars have today. These drum brakes are quite certainly hard to get these cars slowed down, and even if they try to downshift to get slowed down, it's not the easiest task here at Talladega, as funny as it may seem. So caution on the speedway here. Only thankfully a two-car incident early on as fan favorite Ricky Harden has found a way to screw this one up as well.
Yeah, unfortunate for Ricky. He might be okay here. These cars are pretty resilient. Even in the draft, you can have a pretty good bit of damage. And as we see Landon, he about put himself in that incident, but that ONEwraps machine stays clean for now. But poor Ricky, maybe we'll bring him up here a little bit later. I don't want to ruffle his feathers too much. That's a Sean Butler move. We like Ricky. We don't want to piss him off. So we'll let him gather his thoughts and gather his emotions after that mistake. And we'll go from there. But it looks like we might have some pit stops. I don't know what they're going to be coming in here for. Maybe for fuel. And it looks like a handful of drivers do stay out. Max Price stays out. Brett Pancari stays out. But we got this field. Most of these guys coming to the pits here, Sam.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a mixed bag here. Some of these guys might take tires. Some may just take fuel because, these races in the 87 cars are just more interesting on iRacing because it just depends on your skill set, honestly. If you are if you're not experienced with this car, I think you're going to want to take tires every time because even just a couple laps being around these cars, they'll get a little loose. The tires will heat up a little bit. So Oliver Cordell's going to come down the pit lane here. Our leader coming in. I think he just took gas only, like you noted, Kevin. So the interesting strategies to watch during this race. It's an 80-lap race. It's not like your ordinary 87 race here at Talladega, which is 30 laps on the iRacing official series. So there's something to keep an eye on here. Is there a tire limit, Kevin?
There is, and I believe Mason Maggio and Jack Bailey were one of the few guys who elected to take their only set in the pits. They started with their original set, obviously, and they got one extra set. So I'm not sure how they're going to do this, but Mason Maggio and Jack Bailey will now have to go 65-plus laps on one set of tires. And the last time I did a full run, I think it was at Daytona, you can go about 40 laps on a set of tires. So we might see, for the first time, a blown tire due to tire wear at Talladega Superspeedway. And I'm going to bank it's one of those two first.
Well, you never know because, in these races, and this was back on the Firecracker 400 model tire, so about a year ago, it seemed like these tires, you just had to cycle the heat. So if we just get a bunch of cautions with intervals of 10 laps, Kevin, I think this could work out for them. But if this race goes green, I do not think they stand a chance, and I think their day will be over by virtue of probably flipping spectacularly here on this windshield deep broadcast.
We will definitely have to see. I don't think they meant to do that on purpose. I'm going to say they probably just didn't think about unchecking the tires, but we'll have to see how that plays out for the two in the 64. We did have a couple guys stay out here. It looks like Brett Pancari stayed out. The number 22 machine, Max Price stayed out. Lance Ripka, who almost put himself into that last incident, stayed out as well as Chris Davis. He a few laps before that caution came out, he went for a ride. He pulled basically remember when Michael Waltrip did that a few years back, got spun, and he almost hit that inside wall and made a save? He pretty much did that here, exited the tri-oval, got loose by himself in the front of the field. But that car is clean, and he's back where I think he probably thinks he belongs. Started on the pole, and he's currently in fourth after that.
And something people don't know about this Talladega, unless you've noticed it on iRacing, is that very extension at the bottom of the tri-oval has some bumps on it. And I don't know I can't remember why it does, but you still do. And that's been a trouble spot for years in NASCAR and even on iRacing with this car in particular, that if you don't get quite the perfect line going through the tri-oval, the rear end of the car just steps out. And if you don't catch it quick enough, you take a ride like Chris Davis did, and most times it's a lot worse than he was able to manage there because he gathered up, kept it off the wall. A lot of the times that's a race ender right there. So a good save by Chris Davis. I think he's going to be one of the guys to beat if he can just survive this race, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think one thing that Chris found himself is this car, it's not really a matter of dirty air, but the balance of the car changes so much with where you are on track. If you're behind a pack, you're pretty snug if the setup is balanced to be neutral. But if you get out to the lead, you can really put yourself in a predicament. I myself have even done that, where you're snug behind the guy in front. You make a move late, and the car completely unbinds entering the corner, and you can lose it by yourself. So these guys who are going to lay low in the weeds here in the back won't know what this drive's like in the front. So maybe for these guys who stayed in the back for the first few laps, like Lance Ripka and Max Price, maybe this is a good experience for them to get to the front and see how this thing drives for the end of the race. We'll have to see. But we are one to go here. We'll go over the running order real quick. Brett Pancari, Max Price, Lance Ripka, Chris Davis, Oliver Cordell. The first who took fuel is your top 5. Andy Chupiano, Grayson Ward. Looks like Dominic Corelli in 8th. Landon Huffman and Dylan Wilson will round out your top 10. And I think Sean Butler has decided to rear his ugly head. Sean, are you working, or what's going on?
Is this thing on?
It sounds like it.
Thank God.
Well, we'll let you get your keister up here while I'm carrying this broadcast. Pace truck is off. Going to be rounding out. Going to be working lap 14 here. Green flag is out. Great restart for Brett Pancari on that inside line. But we saw in lap 1, Sam, if you get out too far ahead, you're gonna really lose a lot of momentum, and these guys behind you are going to eat you alive.
Yeah, Brett Pancari, he got on the loud pedal really good right there, but I think it's going to come back to bite him here, as it's kind of like reeling in a fishing rod. It's out there, the line's out in the water. Now they're going to come after him here. Here comes Chris Davis. He's tucked up behind the machine there of the 54 car of Lance Ripka, and here there comes. The field's going to accordion back. Pancari's just going to get swallowed up here. No fighting off there. To the outside comes the 54, but Chris Davis checks up, stays in line as they go side by side to turn 4.
Oh, big time accordion effect as they go into 3. Lance Ripka had the run. He's going to go to the outside. Oliver Cordell gives him a big shove on the exit of turn 4. He's going to shove him out to the lead. Meanwhile, Oliver Cordell thought about going 3 wide. Max Price going to try to emerge on that outside line. Chris Davis going to go to the middle, and he's going to try to navigate this tribal without wrecking. Looks like he is. Right now, Brett Pancari, the odd man out on that inside line.
Yeah, and they somehow survived that 3-wide battle. That normally doesn't wind up too good at Talladega either. Look who's now just sitting on the outside of the top 5. That's Andy Trupiano. He always in the mix and windshield deep. He now puts that car to the bottom of the racetrack. So a bunch of good contenders up here at the front, and they're still racy as ever. Oh, as they go 3 wide, almost going to make contact right there. Lance Ripka somehow keeps it off the outside car of Max Price as they go to turn 4 again.
Oliver Cordell, your new leader. Brett Pancari survives on that inside line. Like you said, Sam, newcomer to the front. Andy Chupiano started mid-pack, and he has made his way into the top 3. Chris Davis behind them. First battle for position going to be between the number 54 machine of Lance Ripka and Max Price on that inside line. He's holding his own up front. But new leader, Andy Chupiano, stacks it to the inside line. He's going to get around Oliver Cordell.
Andy Trupiano got that good point into turn 1. He's going to have to straddle that bottom of the racetrack now. He's clear for the moment. The top's going to try to come back as Chris Davis, almost makes contact right there. And now there's a little bit of blocking going on here. It looks like a little bit of jockeying for position as the bottom lane seems to have the 2 best cars on it. But keep an eye on these guys on the outside lane as they start to get a little loose on corner entry. As they gather up in turn 4, the battle is on.
2 battles in the top 5. Andy Chupiano and Oliver Cordell for the lead. Behind them, Max Price and Brett Pancari for 4th. Chris Davis in the middle of that sandwich, trying to find a way around these 2 in front of him. Going to follow Oliver Cordell through the tri-oval, and Oliver Cordell going to take the lead into turn 1.
Cordell to the lead. Chris Davis is now in a jockey for second position with Trupiano. And then you got Max Price and Brett Pancari just watching there. So the leader gets out by 3 car lengths here, 2 by 2 behind him. And to see if they can reel him back in, as it looks like Oliver Cordell kind of holding his own down the back stretch as they go down the Alabama Gang Super Stretch.
Oliver Cordell gets a massive lead, but it looks like they're going to reel him into turn 3 here. It looks like these guys are already fighting handling issues. They're already down to 196 miles an hour in the corner. They normally go around probably 210, so these guys are already dealing with handling problems. They're still side by side, but right now, these guys are just hanging on to it by themselves. Oliver Cordell gets about a half-second lead by himself, so handling already becoming a factor. And I mentioned, Sam, 1 set of tires in the pits, and some of these guys have already taken it. These guys are going to have to take care of these tires for the rest of the race.
Yeah, Kevin, I think a good way to take care of your tires here, too, in which racing side by side does not do that, is just getting a good corner entry. These cars, specifically on these big tracks here, it's the way you kind of get them to point into the corner and the way they set. If you drive in there on the bottom, you're going to really use your right rear tire up and your right front at the same time. But if you get that arc, you really only wear that right rear. So if you can just kind of handle the looseness of the race car, it helps you over the run. But these guys, I don't think they have any interest in that because they are racing for the front 15 positions like dogs right now.
Real quick, Zach, is the channel still up? I'm trying to get it pulled up on my stuff and it's not working. Can I get an update in the chat? Because all I've seen is GMAT in the chat. I'm just making sure because I can't get it pulled up on my end. We'll work on that. But it looks like Andy Trupiano has resumed the lead. Chris Davis on that inside line. Grayson Ward is now emerged in the top 5. That outside line, there it goes. All right, welcome back, everybody. I don't know what happened there. You haven't missed too much. It looks like it's still lagging. Let's see. Okay, well, we'll keep on trucking here.
Looks fine on my end.
We'll keep on carring, I guess. There we go. We'll get a quick recap just in case. Andy Trupiano, currently your leader. Nothing really changing too much here in the lead pack. Chris Davis on that inside line, trying to get that lead. Oliver Cordell all over the back end of Andy Trupiano. Grayson Ward in 4th. Max Price in 5th. Dominic Corelli in 6th. Brett Pancari in 7th. And Lance Ripken in your top 8. These are you guys in the lead pack, and then behind them, you guys are about spread out. But right now, Sam, these guys are still battling for the lead.
And the battle is there. It's not very intense. Not a lot of pinching going on. They're giving each other their space as Chris Davis wanders up off turn 2 a little bit as I say that. But it's pretty civil. I mean, it's going to take a mistake for these guys to have any kind of confrontation. The top lane has the majority here with cars, but the 2 cars on the bottom, like I keep saying, I think those are where the 2 strongest race cars are. There's a mump right there. Oliver Cordell goes up the hill, makes a little bit of contact with the outside wall. Say bye-bye to him. He slips outside the top 5 as they come off turn 4.
Trouble early for Oliver Cordell. Not a lot of damage on that number 17 machine. He's going to keep going, but he's going to get swallowed alive by this giant pack who's now joining this lead pack. So we got about a dozen cars now in this lead draft. Andy Trupiano leading it. Grayson Ward has now emerged from that outside line into the 2nd position. Chris Davis, the only real constant here in this top 5. He's maintained that 3rd spot. And it looks like we might have a caution looming, and there is a caution in the back of the field. And that is, I can't really see, that's Tim Tripler and a couple others in the back here.
And caution has fallen on the speedway here on lap 21 at Talladega. Looks like a several car incident here. Seth Harrelson, oh man, what a name from Windshield Deep. He's involved. He's got some pretty heavy damage there. Looks like we got one car coming up to speed here on the apron. That's Dexter Knight Jr., so another household name in Windshield Deep. There's an accident going into turn number 1 here at Talladega. Let's just kind of see what happens here as Davey Davis is backwards on pit road. Looks like Dexter Knight just got loose going into the corner entry there and takes himself along with Harrelson out.
Yeah, actually, it looked like right in front of him, Dexter Knight, Tim Tripler, the number 71.
My apologies.
No, you're fine. Hits the 07. Poor Seth. Me and Sean Butler have talked about in this league since pretty much season 1. He probably has the worst luck in this series, and goes to show once again that the Golden Horseshoe is not in the hands of Seth Harrelson, despite him having that black and gold Monte Carlo in this league. He has had tough luck. Dexter Knight Jr. also having poor fortune there, being right behind that. He almost evaded that and then got hit by Seth Harrelson, but that's going to bring out our 3rd caution, and we're going to see, is Sean Butler in the server?
I am.
Are you available?
Yeah, I'll tag on with you guys. You guys are doing a great job. I'll leave y'all to do your thing. I'll be 3rd if you want, so we'll cover. I'll be the 3rd in the rotation because I was technologically late, so to speak.
You were tardy?
Yes.
Let me go to the banyo, and we'll keep this party going.
The banyo.
Oh, looks like we do have some pit stops here. Davey Davis has fallen out, by the way, so that's unfortunate. But as we mentioned before you came in, Sean, 1 set of tires in the pits, and Mason Maggio and Jack Bailey have already taken their set of tires. And if I was any of these guys, I wouldn't take it again. But it looks like these guys are going to get fuel only here on the 3rd caution of tonight's event.
That's an interesting call, especially with 1 tire set here at Talladega. So if you take it this early, we've seen in this race so far that the handling starts to go away on these cars. They're traveling at a very great rate of speed constantly throughout this racetrack and sliding all over the place. And the tire degradation is going to be at a very high level. So going to be interesting to see just how these guys are able to handle these cars as the run goes on. But the race off of pit road looks like Trupiano is going to win it. Chris Davis comes out in second and Dominic Corelli in third. And this is the first time they come in, but I don't think they took tires on that one, Kevin. As you said, a lot of sub 10-second stops. So that's a big indication of fuel only.
Yeah, normally when we see the 4 tire stops, we're in the 22.5, give or take a couple seconds range. I don't expect these guys to take tires until well past halfway. And like you mentioned, handling of the essence tonight, the ambient temperature here in virtual Lincoln, Alabama is 82 degrees, track temperature 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Definitely not the worst conditions here at this 2.66 mile super speedway, but that's definitely not cool temperatures for the just as an example for the car Anomaly 500, which is going to happen, by the way, on Wednesday night. By the way, be sure to tune in there. A couple heavy hitters, including Sean Butler, will be in there for some reason. I don't know how he made it, but he'll be in there. The track temperature for that is about 65 degrees, give or take. So almost double that here for these 87 cars. And these guys are already fighting grip in these cars. So these guys are going to be jostling for position and maybe just trying to race the track, almost like Darlington here in this super speedway. But these guys have been racy so far, Sean. I know you just joined us, but it's been a good battle at the front for the most part.
Yeah, I was watching the action for a little bit while I was, making my way up here. A lot of steps here at the virtual Alabama super speedway here, but I saw a lot of newcomers up at the front here. Max Price currently leading. Brett Pancari hasn't really been up front much this season. He's up here. As you mentioned, Mason Maggio. I saw Chris Davis up here a lot too. Jack Bailey is up here in 10th. So a lot of new faces running up towards the front. We see a lot of familiar faces running towards the back. We see Casey Pierce in the 18 is running back there. We just mentioned Seth Harrelson and his misfortunes. Unfortunately, he's sitting back there as well. Drew Cox is back there. Jacob Hayes is back there. Josh Caudle is. So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys' strategies are. Are they going to try to run up front and be competitive all race, or are they just going to sit back and save their tires and go for it at the end? But with all those guys back there, including Casey, I wouldn't doubt that they're doing that exact thing.
Well, I mean, I think you can kind of just revert to you and I, Sean. You definitely are more aggressive, and you like being, I would say, in front of the wreck. I prefer to be in the back, and I think we're going to see that, especially this early in the event. You got guys like Andy Chupiano, Chris Davis, who started on the pole, by the way. He's still up in 5th. And then you got the guys like Casey, who were here last season, and I mentioned it before the race started, and I don't know if it showed through or it went through because of all the connection issues. We appreciate everybody who stuck through, by the way. 50 of you guys have stuck around thanks to the bottom split raid, but we appreciate you guys sticking around. But we had a massive wreck here with 2 to go from a lap car, so I think some of these guys are just kind of heeding caution. They know how this race was last season, so they're just trying to make it to the finish and hopefully have their car in one piece for the end of this thing. But we're going to be 1 to go here. Your current leader is Max Price. I believe he did stay out, as well as Brett Pancari and Mason Maggio. These guys have done that now twice, and I think they're going to be getting close here on fuel if they've done that 2 consecutive pit restarts here. It's going to be interesting to see when they have to come in for fuel. These 22-gallon cells are pretty big, but they definitely can't go 80 laps. So they're going to have to pit at some point. Andy Chupiano, the first out on fuel, and 4th. Chris Davis will round out your top 5. So we'll see if we can get this clean. Pace truck going to be coming off here momentarily, but Sean, this is going to be interesting.
Oh, definitely will be. Sorry, you're the lead in this, Kevin. This is you. You're good.
Come on, big boy, do it.
Come on, man.
Pace truck is off, and like I mentioned earlier, everybody got to go down this long tri-oval. The start-finish line. I don't know if you guys know this. It's all the way at the exit of pit road.
Oh, here we go.
Max Price taking them down 65 miles an hour. Checks up the field just a little bit. He's going to go, and just like Brett Pancari in the last restart, going to set sail about 3 car lengths ahead of this field. First battle will be side by side. 4th, Brett Pancari on that outside line. Mason Maggio on the inside line. These guys are stacking behind them. Chris Davis stacking this inside line. I don't know if he missed a shift, but that inside line digging in front of him. Mason Maggio going to clear himself. Andy Chupiano looking to do the same. They're going to be single file out of turn 2.
And Chris Davis did not get going on that restart. And Dominic Corelli was up his butt eating his lunch as they got up through the gears going down the front stretch here. So the pack kind of forms up here just a little bit. You got the front 8 cars under a blanket, then a couple stragglers, and you got your guys laying in the weeds at the end of the field here. So keep an eye on the battles up front here, as it looks like it's going to get hot and heavy in turn 4.
Here comes Andy Trupiano on those fresh tires on the outside of the 22 machine of Max Price with help from Chris Davis. Up against the wall are both of those guys side by side for the lead. You see the 35 drifting a little bit further back. I'm not sure if he wants to be up here or not. So Trupiano's going to lead that lap, move Max Price back to second. And these guys are just getting started as they work their way through 1 and 2.
Super competitive here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Andy Trupiano gets the lead, but here comes Max Price on that inside line. He's looking to get it about a half car length lead out of turn 2. Andy Trupiano going to get a little bit of side drift, going to get a little bit of momentum here from Chris Davis. Mason Maggio looking to do the same thing. Man, Chris Davis, what a huge run behind them as they go into turn 3.
And Chris Davis almost got in the back of Andy Trupiano there, and I do not think that would have been good. But here they come side by side for the first 2 rows now. And really, we've got a nice little pack formed up here with side-by-side racing action. Landon Huffman trying to come on the scene for the first time this evening. So keep an eye on a big name has come towards the front of the field, and you never know when action or trouble can strike here at Talladega. So keep an eye on that as they clock off lap 26, put 27 on the pylon as they go back to turn 1.
3 wide, a little bit further back in this pack. Ricky Harden was stuck on the outside there, got forced 3 wide by Jack Bailey and Derek Nickel in the 11. So we're going to slide Ricky back to about the 14th spot as these guys start to get more side by side here. Max Price will still lead him down the back, but he's got 2 rows of cars to contend with. Trupiano with a big push from Chris Davis into turn 3, slides a little bit, and there's that handling we were talking about. These tires are going to go away quickly on these cars as hit off the turn number 4. So who's going to be able to keep it all under him as they work their way down the front stretch? It's still Max Price showing the way.
Max Price trying to do his best Penske Racing impression, trying to work both lines. Not going to be able to do it. Here comes Andy Trupiano once again to lead his 3rd straight lap. It's been close every single time. Largest margin in the last 3 laps. 0.07 of a second between the 2 of Max Price and the 22 of Max Price and the 7 of Andy Trupiano. Chris Davis looking to get second on that outside line. That outside line has a lot of momentum as of right now. We'll have to see if that continues as the tires wear out. Seems like the inside line wants to work as the run goes on, but right now they got a nice battle here in this turn 3.
And that outside lane likes to chomp them tires up, but I think right now with these short runs that we're getting, I think the outside lane is going to be the way to go unless we get about over 8 or 9 laps on these tires at speed. That's the key part there, at speed. So Chris Davis is up there just trying to make it work. I think he came here to race. I don't think he came here to go around in parade. So coming to the trial, but Chris Davis now still running second. Max Price still alongside him, and behind him Oliver Cordell still hanging with these guys. So a lot of comers, and there's still a lot of people hanging out here at the front show.
Still side by side. I think Sean had more mic issues. Still side by side. Thanks to Anthony Alfredo for the raid, by the way. We appreciate that, Anthony. But it looks like we got a big battle for the lead. Oh man, Chris Davis goes from the top, goes all the way to the bottom, gets underneath the Andy Trupiano machine. Andy is loose on that outside line, as well as Oliver Cordell. New leader in that Doobie Brothers number 12 machine. Chris Davis once again up front here. Started on the pole, and he's looking to stay up front. And I will say this, I've never said this before, but Moon Car may be paying dividends for somebody in a league race. Chris Davis has a lot of experience here at Talladega, especially in this car, and it is working right now for him, Sam.
And Chris Davis just put a move on to the bottom of the racetrack, as you were saying, and it takes somebody that's run this car enough. He got down, protected that bottom lane on corner entry because he knows that the momentum builds really strong in the corner. So Chris Davis shows the point. Trupiano tries to draw along at his quarter panel. He's getting a nice shove from Max Price. The bottom lane has 3 cars really tight in it. Chris Davis kind of walks there on the entrance to turn 3, sets the car. He gets that nice turn in, and he's still going to pull away here by about a half a car length before the field accordion's back. Here comes Trupiano to his outside. Can he make it work? Trupiano's there. Yes, he does. Battle for the race lead as they go back to the dog leg.
And this top 8 doesn't know it, but these guys are pulling away despite racing side by side. About the top 8, 9 or so. Man, Chris Davis still loose on that inside line. These guys are pulling away side by side for the lead. Andy Trupiano going to take over that outside spot, take over the lead on that outside line. Oliver Cordell following suit. Matt Kingsbury going to go up there as well. He's going to emerge into the top 5 next to Max Price. They're going to be side by side now for second. Oliver Cordell, big run. He's going to give Andy Trupiano a huge sub in the turn 3. That's going to allow Chris Davis to get the momentum, and he's going to go down low here.
And a tight draft at the end of the Alabama Gang Super Stretch that time as Oliver Cordell has to hang on to it. He got a case of the wiggles there. And so I believe that was for Matt Light as well back there. But a big case of the wiggles there that's going to kind of let the front cars get away just a little bit here. So Chris Davis is going to retain because all the outside lane help has gone away. And so these battles, they're kind of fluctuating. We get formed up, Kevin, but then we kind of go away here because somebody has a moment. So Chris Davis right now is on the right side of luck, but you gotta wonder, will it stay that way for long?
Yeah, and I mentioned when you're in the lead, it is a little bit more on the free side. So his tires might not be as hot, especially in the front side, than some of these guys in the back. But these guys are still trying to persevere, get to the lead. Max Price tries to go down. Chris Davis gives a big block to Oliver Cordell. He's going to pack in that rear end of Chris Davis, get him a little bit loose into turn 3. But right now, we got about a 14-car breakaway, about 6 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. 6.387 seconds last time by is Grayson Morris. So some of these guys in the back just chilling out, hanging around. You got Spencer Dickinson, last season's winner. He knows what he's doing. He's chilling out back there. But from about 15th or from 14th on, these guys are fighting. And we have a new leader in Max Price.
Yeah, Max Price got some nice help from Andy Trupiano off turn number 4. Come into the dog leg. Chris Davis was about to get put 3 wide, but Oliver Cordell backed out of it. He kind of made a calculated move as Davis now makes the move back to the bottom. They're going to look 3 wide, and Trupiano's just going to try to fall in line here, I would think. He does not. He stays up there. So it looks like Max Price still holds on to the lead here for the time being. Chris Davis and Trupiano still battling for second. So keep these 4 people, keep the top 4 in your pocketbook right here, folks, because they're the people that have stayed up here consistently, as they're going to have to navigate some lap traffic. And if they can stay in this thing by the end of it, which they're racing like they won't be, I think they'll put on a good show for you.
Oh, man, some of these guys, I'm sure, just had a bunch of flashbacks. Seth Harrelson on the outside line trying to stay out of the way. But Ethan Tingler was really, really loose, and he got scary loose right in front of this field. These guys were a little bit nervous as they went through the trial. Well, they get around it. But on the radio last time by, Chris Davis said he was going to stay in line, kind of chill out. Looks like he was lined to the field because he has now emerged once again as the leader. So Chris Davis came here to play, and he came here to win, looking for his first win here in the Windshield Deep Racing League. And I think they're trying to settle down a little bit. It could be a combination of these tires falling off, but I think some of these guys realize maybe it's a little bit too early to be going 3 and 4 wide.
And it could be that. And I think tire fall off's going to be a big thing, because if you notice right there, the fire coming out of the exhaust pipe right there, somebody had to crack the throttle as Price gets the lead there at the line. But this is about the point in the run, and I don't think they've ventured into this yet. And I think we're kind of brewing for a caution here. These tires are going to start getting really, really slick. And you see right there, Chris Davis had to check up. He's going to come under fire from Trupiano as they get in the wall. Cordell gets in the wall on the outside of him. But if you don't get the right line and you don't really have your good throttle management, this is the part of the run where it can really come back to bite you, and we might see trouble break out of it.
And we'll see if Sean's available. Sean,
hey,
hope you're there. Yeah, we ran a couple league races at the plate tracks here in the 87s, as they're going to be 3 wide for the lead. But you can kind of attest, like these cars just become bulls with 750 horsepower. They are a handful to drive, especially after you get some heat in these tires. These guys are wrestling them into the turn in every single lap.
You can imagine like you're sledding down a hill and it becomes pure ice. So these things feel like sleds to these guys right now with these tires. But imagine doing 210 plus miles an hour and it going into a corner. So these things are definitely a handful to drive. So it takes a fine skill and fine art to navigate through this track. And these guys are doing a great job of it. And I got to give a call to them. They're kind of keeping their distance from each other. You know, they're giving each other room up here. That's how the racing has to go in order for, decent progress to be made in these. But big shout out to Max Price. He's been up here making all the right moves, even trying to side draft. But from our experience, Kevin, in the tri-oval, you really don't want to be low. And Sam can attest to this as well. If you're on the low side, you have no momentum. He's got a car on the apron going into turn 1. That looks like it's Matt Light back there. He corrals it, but it really all depends on what line you run. And Sam, you know this especially, that can make all the difference between getting the lead and losing about 5 spots.
Yeah, and I think the best strategy for some of these guys, but I mean they're not listening to me because I'm just broadcasting the races. Just kind of time your runs, and if not, just back out of the gas a little bit earlier, because certainly that bottom lane's treacherous. You don't really build momentum unless you have to use the guy up on your outside lane to get the proper arc into that. But it's just it's kind of a game of chess, and that is any race at Talladega or Daytona that we go to. Your moves have to be calculated, or unless you just go and see what happens. But I mean, you have to be smart about what line you're in these races, and especially over the course of the long run.
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned it ad nauseum, but there's that seam in that tri-oval is definitely probably the most dangerous part of this track. And you would think, they're going through the tri-oval, not a really big radius on that turn. It is scary in these cars, especially on that bottom line. I myself have lost it ahead of the field here And it is not fun to be on there, especially with worn tires. So these guys, you can kind of see Max Price last time by as your leader was about 3 lanes off of it. You don't want to turn any more than you need to here in the front and in this tri-oval. So you can kind of see these guys running a little bit higher. They get a little bit down there if they feel confident. Like anybody gets a little bit loose, so you can see these guys are still fighting and they're still going down there. But things starting to try to settle down. But as I say, that Oliver Cordell on the outside line.
Yeah, Cordell's still up there. I don't know how many times we can just keep talking about them. We've got these guys up here racing as hard as they can, and I wonder, Kevin, I know you mentioned it under the last caution, when will fuel come into play for these guys? They don't... I mean, I don't know if I've ever done a fuel run in the 87 car, especially here at Talladega, so I wonder what the money number would be here. We had a caution about lap 20, so they're 20 laps over the run here. Maybe thinking about 10 or 15 laps?
Well, I'm curious to see. I mentioned it before. There's a handful of drivers who stayed out on both of these cautions that transpired last, like between I think 10 and 20. So some of these guys are gonna have to come in early, and I want to say it's about 36 to 38 laps on a tank. So these guys that came in around lap 20 probably gonna pit with around 15 to go if they absolutely have to. Maybe 20 to go. But there are a couple guys, Max Price, Brett Pancari, to name a few. I believe Mason Maggio as well. Those guys are going to have to pit early, and one of them, Mason Maggio, he has already taken his set of tires. Oh, we have someone falling off to the side. Max Price is slow. I don't know what happened to that number 22 machine. He is slowing off the pace on the apron. Do we have anything on the radio here, Sam? What's going on in that number 22?
From the looks of it, Kevin, I think he's out of gas.
Oh, man.
From my guesstimate, I think he might be out of gas, or he just had to get out of the pack one there. So here he comes off turn 4. Will he make that left turn to pit lane? He certainly, yeah, he's coming to the pit lane here, Kevin.
Oh, looks like he's coming in. Oh, man, I don't know who that was. I think it was Dexter Knight. He looked to come in. I believe he's also out of fuel. So fuel strategy coming into play here at Talladega Super Speedway of all places. Dexter Knight looks like he's going to be out of fuel, and I think he's just going to try to pull in as soon as he can, get that tow truck. But tough break for Dexter Knight. I think he realized too little too late that he will be out of fuel. Max Price finally gets to his pit stall here, and we're going to be around halfway. So like I said, around 40 laps looks like is the window, and these guys had some caution laps to kind of gauge their fuel mileage. So these guys kind of know when they're going to want to come in. So like I said, about 20 laps to go. So we'll have to see if they also get tires. Most likely will, because tires mean everything here in the 87s. But Sean, we'll go back to you. Are you seeing anything you yourself would? Do you like the strategy right now of being up front with how hairy these things are?
Well, I almost want to say the 22 pitting might have been a strategy call.
Oh, there's trouble down the back.
Oh, Ricky Harden into the inside wall once again. Trouble for the number 15 machine. I don't know what exactly happened out of turn 2, but Calamity Corner once again outside turn 2. Ricky Harden and that 15 machine around and into the inside wall. A lot of damage on that front machine. A lot of damage to the rear as we get our 4th caution of the evening.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Sean. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I didn't know if you had seen it. I figured I would holler there. Looks like a couple car incident off turn number 2. Ricky Harden again. As his name is, he's hard in the wall on the back straightaway.
Oh, you're good. Being that I was kind of about to say the 22 pitting might have been a strategy call, and Oliver Cordell, as we were talking about earlier, the handling looks like it just gets tight off the corner, gets arrow tight maybe, and he just destroys the wall, and Ricky's got nowhere to go. So that's a tough break for Ricky there. But I was about to say, maybe the 22 pitting was a strategy call. I hopped on board with him as he was coming down pit road, and I didn't really hear any fluctuating of the gas or anything. So it sounded like that car was under power. So who knows? That might have been a call for him. But I was noticing 2 different races, guys. You see all the cars right back here that are coming past in the replay. All those guys from Spencer Dickinson, Grayson Ward on back, they were all single file that entire run. Landon Huffman was in there. Drew Cox was in there. There you see the one of Jacob Hayes. So they might have been conserving fuel doing that. They were losing a considerable amount of time doing it, but they might have had the long run in strategy in their minds for that run. But Kevin, I think it all went out the door pretty much with this caution.
Yeah, it looks like it. And like I said, I think the fuel window, they should be within the fuel window this go around. It looks like, I assume everyone's going to be coming in, and I believe for a majority of the field, I know a lot of these guys have damage now. Oliver Cordell has sustained some damage. Mason Maggio has sustained some damage from that last incident. Ricky Harden obviously did as well. Those guys are going to be in for extended pit stops, but the rest, 4 tires and fuel, and that's going to be their one and only set here, guys. 40 laps, and they're going to have to make it last. And it could be. We had a pretty clean first half for the most part compared to last season. This make it pretty dicey, and I think these guys in the back, Dylan Wilson, Landon Huffman, Spencer Dickinson, like I said, last season's winner, I think these guys are waiting for that, and I think they know that the way this car is we have a newcomer at the front. I believe that was Dominic Corelli. He got a great pit stop. We'll have to see if he got tires or not, but some of these guys taking some strategy, but it looks like some of these guys who are staying in the back are going to stay there for a little bit.
Yeah, and I think Chris Davis took 4 tires on his pit stop, and I think Andy Trupiano did as well because they had some rather slow stops. So, interesting strategy call. I do think that might be the best move. I don't know, because it's just going to be such a toss-up here because there's going to be calamity, there's going to be carnage at Talladega. And I think we're about to get a frequency of cautions here as this race just starts to wind down naturally here at Talladega. So we will just see what plays out here. So, interesting call there for Chris Davis and Andy Trupiano to stick him on there.
Guys, want to get a quick call here for Dominic Corelli. Fuel only for the 61 in his pit stall. So that'll levitate, send him to the lead. So we could see, Kevin, the tires come into play here. So fuel only for Corelli. He's going to be at a handling disadvantage while all these guys behind, Grayson Ward, Mason Maggio, they're going to be at a handling advantage here. So as they come down to this restart, I'm going to check here and see. I believe it's fuel only for Grayson Ward in the 9 as well. So I mentioned he was in that pack that was single file right behind these guys. So that's another strategy call. So move Grayson Ward into second after taking fuel only as well.
Yeah, they must be seeing something every time they pit. The nice thing about iRacing is you can see the tire wear every time you pit, regardless if you change tires. So some of these guys who are at the back must be seeing some pretty good numbers every time they come in. So they might be saving their last set for the end of the race, near the end of the race. And the one thing that's really interesting about these 87 cars on this V7 tire model, it seems like the tires kind of equalize for a handful of laps. The first 2 or 3 laps, even if you have, about 40 or 50 laps on a speedway, 20 laps here at like Talladega, it seems to be pretty equal until they heat up. Once they heat up, you'll start to see a pretty big discrepancy in speed. But if we get, maybe a 10-lap run, and these guys who decided to take no tires here get their tires, they'll have that advantage here at the tail end of the race, and they'll be in the catbird seat towards the end of this event. So we got 2 Kingdom cars here at the front. Looks like Matt Kingsbury was actually a wave-around car. He'll go ahead and get going. And Max Price was a lap down before this caution came out. So the strategy call, if it was one, did not pan out. I don't know what the heck happened to him. He ended up going a lap down, but he was the recipient of the lucky dog. So good lucky break for that number 22 machine. Going to be starting tail end of the field here, but we've seen him cut his way through the field a couple times through strategy and whatnot. So keep an eye on that number 22 machine. But right now, Dominic Corelli and Grayson Ward, 2 newcomers here at the front.
So I was actually looking through the ATVO timing and scoring as well. Add Mason Maggio in the 64 to the fuel only camp. Looks like he just went down there, got a bit of his damage fixed, and put some fuel in it, and he was away. So everybody from Andy Trupiano on back are all on tires. So guys like Trupiano, Chris Davis, Matt Light, Lance Ripka, Brett Pancari, all those guys going on back, they are on fresh tires. So keep an eye on them to make their way through the field. But front 3 guys might be having some handling issues on this restart.
And just keep an eye on them. And you'll know very fast if they're having handling issues because stuff at Talladega happens real fast. And this restart could certainly be quite the show if the tires haven't completely cycled around. So keep an eye on that, Kevin, there in turn 4 coming to you.
Yeah, now I want to keep an eye on that number 64 machine. I noted earlier, Sean, before you arrived in the booth, Mason Maggio took his one and only set, I believe, around lap 5. Maybe a mistake, not done checking the tires early on in this event, but he made his bed pretty early. He's going to have to go 75 laps on 1 set of tires. So we saw he was one of the drivers who hit the wall before that last caution. Oliver Cordell and himself out of turn 2 collected that outside wall and collected Ricky Harden as an innocent bystander. So we'll have to keep an eye on that number 64 machine. Pace truck is off, 65, grueling miles an hour through this long tri-oval. Start finish line, like I mentioned, for the 45th time outside the pit exit. And green flag is out. Big checkup. Once again, Chris Davis has had horrible restarts. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he keeps missing shifts. He doesn't seem to be having much problem at speed, but he has struggled on these restarts. About a 4-car breakaway as they go into turn 1, Sean.
Looks like Davis might actually be starting in second gear there. So we've seen as Dominic Corelli has fallen through on this. So I was saying he might be starting in second because you usually want to start in first to get the RPMs high. But right now, Grayson Ward is up front. He is a sitting duck right here for Andy Trupiano and Mason Maggio. Trupiano makes the move to the inside as we might have a new leader through turn 3.
Andy Trupiano points that number 7 machine to the bottom of the racetrack. Takes the lead with ease now. Looks like his buddy Mason Maggio and Chris Davis are going to come to the back bumpers. Trupiano goes back to the outside lane to get that perfect lane through the trioval. Andy Trupiano back under fire now. 5 cars under a blanket as they work through the dogleg.
Trupiano pinched Mason Maggio to that inside seam, and Mason Maggio did not like it. At least his car got really loose through that center of the trioval. He's still fighting as they go into turn 1. He's fighting that old set of tires. Chris Davis right behind them. Matt Light has emerged onto the scene in 5th. But your 2 front runners at the moment, Andy Trupiano, been here all night, but Grayson Ward, who is sitting in the back about that last run for the last 20 laps or so, he's looking for the lead in turn 3.
Grayson Ward trying to slingshot his way to the lead into turn number 3. Can't really say that at any other track in series, but these cars and this track. So here comes Ward to the inside. But how about Chris Davis? He is still up there, and he is working the lanes very well. He was on the bottom last lap trying to help out Mason Maggio. Saw it wasn't working, so he's going to go up with Andy Trupiano, and he's going to get the draft from the 7 car. They're going to get the run out of the trioval. Trupiano still leads it, but here comes Chris Davis to second and 1.
And those 2 are making that very outside lane work. They've got 5 cars beneath them lined up as now they kind of scatter in turn 1. Trupiano really playing the line game here, trying to take the best line around this track, and it seems like on corner exit here at Talladega, being right near that wall helps get you a little bit of a momentum boost as here comes Chris Davis to the back bumper again. So those 2 guys on newer tires, if we confirm that or not, I think they are the powerhouse cars still to this point. So keep an eye on them unless we do get another caution.
Andy Trupiano decides to concede that inside line just so he can get this nice entry through the trioval. Gets a big push from Chris Davis. He's actually going to let him go to the middle, so nearly 3 wide here for second. Grayson Ward looking to get the lead. Andy Trupiano had a great run out of that exit of the trioval. He's going to resume the lead by 3/100ths of a second over Grayson Ward. So Andy Trupiano has figured something out, guys. He has kept that outside line going, and he has kept the momentum. It has Chris Davis all over his rear end down the backstretch, and that carries the momentum all the way through turn 4 in the trioval.
Man, if I were him, I'd be doing the exact same thing too. We see
they're crashing the back, guys.
We got a
crash
crash in
at
the
beginning
back.
of the back straightaway.
Looks like that's going to be the 11. I believe is that Kyle Vergetta? It is down the backstretch in that Cale Yarbrough scheme. We stay green. But as I was mentioning, Andy Trupiano is very committed to that outside lane. So I was thinking, oh, he gets a shot from Chris Davis, go through the trioval. He's working on the side of the momentum rather than the preferred line. And it's working. He's going to be leading this lap still side by side for second.
Side by side still for the number 2 position. Looks like Chris Davis now gets down to the bottom. Oh, he kind of misses the bottom there. He slides back up. This is going to really put him in a bad spot. Chris Davis now 3 wide. He's got Grayson Ward beneath him. He's got Matt Light on the outside lane as they're going to kind of squeeze together here real tight down the backstretch. Davis kind of wobbles a little bit. Andy Trupiano looks in his mirror and says, I don't want to be back there. 3 wide at the end of the Alabama Gang super stretch. Chris Davis in the net 11.
Quick update. That was Max Price. Tough break in that number 22 machine. Blown engine. I believe he took himself out in a collision on the backstretch. So tough break for that number 22 machine. Was leading in this event. He will be relegated to the garage, and that'll be the end of his day. But back up front, these guys are getting feisty. They're getting nasty here at the front. 30 laps to go next time by, so it's getting down to brass tacks. Andy Trupiano still your leader. Chris Davis emerges from that outside line in a second. 3 wide nearly out of turn 2. Oliver Cordell getting that high line going. Going to follow right behind Grayson Ward, but Matt Light still powering strong on the inside line.
I think Cordell had memories of the outside lane, having him in the wall off of turn 2 to bring out the last caution. He thought better of it 3 wide as Matt Light gets loose to the inside. He saves it, and he's going to chase more cars up the track. That's Lance Ripka as everyone's in the wall back here as the 23. Light is going to get Ripka. The 77 of Dylan Wilson is in. He's backwards in the trioval. They're still wrecking. Eric Wilson's around. Spencer Dickinson's around. The 63 is in the grass. That's Drew Cox in the grass. So long developing wreck here into the trial, where brings us under yet another caution here at Talladega.
And that was probably the long one at Talladega. That wreck started in the middle of turns 3 and 4 and finally ended at the exit of the tri-oval. So it's like just an unfortunate chain of events there. And Matt Light just wiggled up the racetrack, and it just sent everybody along for the ride here as we get the replay here. Yep, right there. It just makes contact, hits the wall. And when you're stuck in the wall in these cars, you have to just yank it to get off the wall. And you see it right there. Comes down, gets Dylan Wilson, and then comes back up across the track. And I think he was, I don't think there was any intent behind that. It's just that steering box me and Kevin talked about at the top of the race that you just got to kind of yank it, and you take people along with you, and that's the product of Talladega.
Yeah, you're kind of along for the ride when you get spun around in these 87 cars. We had a lot of plows in this wreck, but that's 2 seasons in a row. I don't want to say anything too loudly, but that's
Jacob Hayes already said it.
Yes, he did. But that's 2 seasons in a row that a Light brother has taken out a handful of cars here towards the later stages of the event. Obviously, did not mean to do that. I got loose on that inside line. Did Matt Light collected a handful of drivers of Lance Kripke and Dylan Wilson, and then Calamity in the tri-oval. That was a really weird wreck. I almost thought he kind of just pulled it out in front of the field almost on purpose, but the way the spin was, the way the contact was delivered back from Lance Kripke, he just kind of got sent back into the field. So tough break for these guys who were kind of just minding their own business in the back. Brian Smith, Eric Wilson, Spencer Dickinson was involved as well. So a lot of these guys who are doing the exact strategy of staying away from the big one finds them in the back. And we're going to have to see if these guys have substantial damage. I know Brian Smith does. He sustained a lot. He has engine trouble. Some of these guys coming down once again for fuel, just trying to keep the balance in these cars. But a lot of damage, a lot of wrecked cars on the pit road here.
So it's looking like, I mean, we all know, Sam as well, you know this especially, these cars, you could beat these things up. And I've raced in these things with about like a minute plus worth of damage. As long as you're somewhat in the draft, you could still stay competitive and time your runs. And if you could do that, you can make some passes in these cars. But with that amount of damage, I don't think a lot of these guys are out of it just yet.
And, you know, I don't think a lot of people are either, but it's just, I think we still have a lot of good race cars that got around that wreck unless the whole field gets a piece of this. So these cars are certainly not like any other car on iRacing. These things can handle some damage. They like to get roughed up a little bit. But, I mean, it's not going to be as good, but I think that they can still be competitive and dodge a couple wrecks. You find yourself right back in the fray of this race. So a long ways to go here still. I know we're closing in on the end of it, but this is a long ways to go in this race. So it's going to certainly be a ride as we have got Chris Davis in the booth.
Chris Davis, you are doing a hell of a job tonight, man. How you doing in that number 12 machine?
I'm just trying to work up here with the guys in the front. I think me and Andy got a little thing going on up here.
Oh.
Working the high line together.
Yeah, man. You and him are dominating that high line, and you have been a player this entire race. You almost took yourself out around lap 5, but you corralled it on that apron, man. That was crazy. But you have been up front this entire show. Tell me how it drives in traffic. Tell me how it drives in the lead. I know it's a little bit different in terms of the balance, but you've been doing a good job out there, man.
Yeah, I qualified on the pole, so I was just trying to stay up front, avoid all the wrecks and stuff. Doing a pretty good job of that, minus that lap 5. Got a little loose, hit that bottom part of the tri-oval, and luckily didn't hit anything. Up front, it runs pretty good. In the draft, you can let off a lot, save some fuel, stuff like that, but nothing new. See if I can keep it up front, maybe get a win.
Yeah, man, you're doing a good job, and I think you're doing it right as far as making some friends. Andy Cipriano, definitely one you want to make. He's one of the cleaner drivers in this league, so he'll definitely give you some help later on. I think you and him are going to be 2 cars to beat at the end of this race, man. But I was mentioning Moon Car. I know they've had this combination here. Has that helped you at all, knowing that they've brought this combination a handful of times, Travis Brown and
I've actually missed every 87s at Talladega.
Oh, man.
But I do run pretty much nothing but 87s, so I like running them.
I tried to plug Travis, but
hey,
shot you down there.
You definitely look like you know what you're doing, man. That's it's not an easy task to wheel these cars here at Talladega, despite it being a super speedway. They are tough to
It's all
drive.
that throttle control.
Hell yeah, brother. So we're cheering for you. We're not really supposed to be biased up here in the booth, but I think all of us would be happy
Hey,
to
guess
see
what?
you win, man.
That's what you did to me, Kevin.
There you go.
Yeah, I jinxed the hell out of you. I'm sorry. I did
You know what's about to happen.
I did it to Talon Pelfrey a couple weeks ago, and it's probably magnified since I'm leading tonight. So good luck, man, and I am deeply sorry once the wreck inevitably happens. Hopefully,
Thanks, Kevin.
hopefully the curse is broken for your sake.
I appreciate you.
All right.
You just got to do it once every week, don't you?
I mean, what am I supposed to say, man? You're not doing good at all.
Yeah, no. Tell him I hope you wreck.
Oh well.
I hope you get turned and your face first into the catch fence.
But then that happens, and
No, the opposite happens. That's what you tell them. Hey, man, you're doing a great job. Good luck out there, and then they just end up flying into the catch fence anyway. So you might as well just get it over with. Make yourself not seem like an ass.
well, I at the end of the day, these guys control themselves, but
That is true.
there's nothing I can really do one way or the other. I just call what I see, and he's doing a good job. So I want to keep. Yeah, I do just work here. That's correct. Pace Chuck is off once again. 80 Trupiano is your leader. Chris Davis second. Mason Maggio somehow has kept his car in the top 5 on those old tires and that number 64 machine. Jack Bailey somehow emerges onto the scene in 4th. Derek Nichols fifth. We have a big checkup here on the pace on the restart. Drew Cox has to go to the inside line to avoid. I believe that was Dominic Pirelli on that inside line. But we have a big checkup here in the back, and they're still trying to gather it up. Single file here at the front.
It looks like Drew Cox had to stop for everybody on the inside line. That might be a blessing in disguise for him. He's going to have a big run for these guys. But back up front, speaking of runs, here comes Chris Davis all over the back. Andy Trupiano, he mentioned he's going to be content just riding in line there. Not sure how content the guys behind him are. As look at this, Landon Huffman on the top side coming. Also got that's Brett Pancari up there coming on the top side. So I was about to say the reinforcements are coming here, Sam, and looks like we're gonna have ourselves a race here coming to 25 to go.
Yeah, and a couple of the normal players that you would think to see up here now starting to pop up on the scene. Casey Pierce, I haven't said his name all race for good reason. He's coming to the front, and I just hope he tears that catch fence down at some point during this race, because I think he's probably the worst driver in this field. But 3-car breakaway, now 4-car breakaway up front. The troops are coming. If they can get there on time is going to be the real question.
Yeah, that outside line lingering in the shadows. Brett Pancari, Grayson Ward has now emerged back into the top half dozen. Landon Huffman on that inside line. Jacob Hayes, another guy we really haven't talked about. Chris Davis going to go to the bottom and take the lead. But like you mentioned, Sam, some of these guys kind of just chilling in the back of this main pack. Casey Pierce lingering in the back. And then behind them, you got Matt Kingsbury, who got back. I believe he's actually still mini laps down. He's 6 laps down, so never mind. Drew Cox trying to chill here, about 2.5 seconds off the lead pack, trying to get some draft. So like you said, guys, the newcomers who have been chilling in the back have to go. Landon Huffman being one of them. He's got loose into turn 1.
I think Chris Davis has the right idea here. We see him trying to work both lanes, goes into the corner low, then washes up to block the outside run. So good job by Chris. We're going to see how long as the 2 with Jack Bailey gets loose on the backstretch. Here comes Landon Huffman to the inside. He's going to make the pass. Davis goes to the bottom, still controlling both lanes. It's all Chris Davis who 3 and 4.
And a big moment there, and they somehow kept it together there. Bailey almost just ended the race of Landon Huffman, and I believe that would be Derek Nickel down the backstretch. But off turn 4, Landon Huffman on the move here. Chris Davis trying to control both lanes. They're going to make a big moment right here. Huffman slides up, gets loose on the bottom groove. Mason Maggio, they keep it off one another, and looks like the intensity meter is starting to creep up here. Chris Davis leads him by 3 in turn 1.
Landon Huffman out of nowhere into that second position, looking for the lead out of turn 2, has a massive run on the exit of the corner. Chris Davis has nowhere to go. He's going to try to go to the outside. He's not going to be able to block that run. Landon Huffman, Andy Trupiano, huge run on the outside line. Here comes Grayson Ward looking to help that inside line for Chris Davis, but new leader into turn 3, Landon Huffman for the first time all night.
Only a matter of time before we see that 75 up front in one of these races, and the time is now. So Huffman to the point, Trupiano following him on the outside. Maggio has worked his way up to the outside in the 64. So 2 cars to the inside as Chris Davis slides up through the tri-oval. That's the 9 of Grayson Ward right behind him. So 2 distinct lanes so far here at Talladega. Huffman blocks the bottom. Davis almost hits the apron. That's going to open the door for Ward on the bottom through 1 and 2.
And Davis is going to try to recharge that outside lane. He's going to have strong help from Andy Trupiano. I think he's going to have to try to be able to get clear there. It looks like the 9 of Grayson Ward is going to be there. So Chris Davis is just going to have to give a big bump to Huffman. Gives him a huge shot at the exit of the back straightaway. Huffman hangs on to it. He goes back down the block to bottom as Andy Trupiano's wiggling in 3.
Man, Chris did not show any resistance there. Out of turn 3 or into turn 3, gave Landon Huffman a massive hit. And I think he might have gotten a little bit of damage. Looks okay. But Landon Huffman knows that number 12 came to play. It looks like a lap car having to go to the apron. Smart move by that machine. Not sure exactly. I think that's Brian Smith in the number 68. We'll have to get a look at that maybe if he comes back up. But it looks like these guys starting to settle down a little bit, actually. I'm pretty surprised. Single file for the moment down the backstretch, and they got about a car length or so gap between each of these drivers. Jack Bailey now emerging into the top 5. Behind them, we got a little bit of a gaggle. Mason Maggio leading this back half of the field. Derek Nickel in there. Dominic Corelli getting sideways. Oliver Cordell gets sideways as well. And they're going to be nearly 3 wide at the turn 4.
How about Derek Nickel? We saw him caught up in an accident a couple of cautions ago. He's back up in the top 10. So as we were saying, the damage doesn't really affect these cars all that much. And there's case in point there. And here comes another car that got a little bit of damage on it. Dominic Corelli in the 61, again, took fuel only on his last stop. So he and his teammate, that's looking back there, I think that's Matt Kingsbury in the 51. He's not in the lead lap. He's in 24th, currently being shown 6 laps down. But Sam, it pays to have help up here. It looks like Kingsbury is back in the wall right in front of Oliver Cordell. Just as I was saying, he's going to help his teammate. That goes up in smoke as they head into 3.
And these cars are just really, really on edge here when you get up with each other and try to give them the bump there. We saw it with Landon Huffman, and Kingsbury got the wall there. So it's a game of risk. It's the fastest way around here if you run up by the wall in the straightaway. But if there's just one mistake, you're going to get glued to it as we got a battle for the lead here. Looks like Grayson Ward's going to come to the outside. It's going to get real tight working a lap car here. Chris Davis all up Landon Huffman as they go to turn 1. And can they save it? Yes, they will.
Oh, man, Chris Davis hit that apron, and I think that's just a byproduct of Ricky Harden just trying to stay out of his way. Did the best he could as these guys approached him on the exit of the tri-oval going into turn 1. Everyone saves it. Everyone's still racing here into turn 3. 19 laps to go this time by. New leader at the front, Grayson Ward in that Ford Thunderbird. First time we called his name up front in the lead, I believe. He was battling for the lead, but I think this is the first laps he's leading tonight. So him, Landon Huffman came to race, and they came to race here late. They've kept their cars clean for the most part, and these guys are clean up front. Landon Huffman in that second position, Andy Trupiano third. Chris Davis once again making a massive move on that outside line. He's made it work all night long.
And we've shown just how powerful the outside lane in the tri-oval is. You get such a run coming out. You're not sliding the tires at all. And we saw Chris Davis catapult himself to challenge Landon for second. He's going to try and fall in line for third. Andy Trupiano working the bottom lane in that 7 car, and it's starting to get a little bit more dicey. Huffman with a big run on Grayson Ward, not going to take it. Davis has to check up going into 3, and there's Dominic Corelli again in the 61 up there. And how about Oliver Cordell? He has been all over the place in this race. He is at 3rd car, now 6th car in the top lane, and right as I say his name, he hits the wall. But it's getting dicey up here, Sam. We're coming down to 17 laps to go.
Yeah, we've got Jack Bailey on the apron there in the trial. Well, he got a piece of it. And it's business is starting to pick up here at Talladega, and you would expect it as the laps wind down here, but you've got a bunch of good cars here at the front. I think push is going to come to shove, but the front 5 get away. And you got another pack right there. They're trying to get it figured out back there. As we got one car spinning to the inside, and he's going to corral it, keeps it off the wall. What a save right there.
What a save.
Jack Bailey, wow.
What a save with Jack Bailey. Like I said, guys, he's on the oldest tires by a long shot. About 55 laps on those tires, and he's got super loose when Derek Nickel had his front end all over the rear end of the number 2 machine. Great save for him, but that's going to take this field from a baker's dozen to a full dozen cars in contention here. 12 cars in contention as we approach 17 laps to go for this event. Got one extra car in this field, and Matt Kingsbury, he may be a factor helping that number 61 Kingdom machine, his teammate. Going to be really interesting to see if he can help him out. But right now, single file for 1st through 4th. First battle going to be for 5th. Chris Davis, unfortunately, being relegated a little bit. He's outside the top 5 for the first time in a long while. Couple newcomers, Derek Nichols on the inside line, and Casey Pierce has decided to put himself in the middle of this pack here, guys.
as we got more battles happening toward the front. Landon Huffman ducked to the inside of Andy Trupiano going into turn number 3. Trupiano gets a little loose on the high side, so let's see if this bottom lane can make it stick. Going through the tri-oval, watch the run the 7 car is about to get. Passes Huffman. He might be challenging Ward out of the tri-oval. Crosses him over. Here comes Andy Trupiano for the lead with Chris Davis right in tow.
And here comes Trupiano with his buddy Chris Davis. We've said their name probably too many times this broadcast, but they have been the action people in this race. Trupiano gets back to the lead, kind of takes a slide off turn 2. Grayson Ward fights back strong on the outside lane, but here comes Huffman to the back bumper of Davis. So these 3 cars tight on the inside lane. As looks like, that was Grayson. When that was Mason Maggio. They're wrecking right there. There goes the 11. He's going to come up the hill, and that's going to be a hard impact. There's your caution. The 11 of Derek Nickel has come back up. A hellacious hit in turn 4 as a caution strikes, coming back to 14 laps to go at Talladega.
Big trouble in turns 3 and 4. Derek Nickel all over the back of Derek Nickel, and or Oliver Cordell all over the back of Derek Nickel. Got him pretty loose into turn 3, and tried to save that Crown Royal number 11 machine, and had nowhere to run, but right back into the outside wall. Did that hook and went up the hill, as Darrell Waltrip would say, right back into the field and right back into Oliver Cordell. Tough break for that number 11 machine. Actually, a little bit of contact there on the replay from Oliver Cordell. He did get a little bit loose trying to stay off the number 64 machine of Mason Maggio, but put that one on Oliver Cordell. Just didn't check up soon enough in front of the field there. But tough break for Oliver Cordell. He got into the wall a couple of times and pretty much stayed competitive. A couple other guys got involved in that. Matt Kingsbury also involved. I believe Brett Pancari and that John Force tribute scheme in the 35 got involved as well. Oh, God, what's going on with the camera? We'll get a replay here. Who is this with, Zach?
Is that Ronald McDonald?
Oh, it looks like, is that Brett Pancari? Yeah, it looks like he might have gotten away unscathed. It looked like on the replay he got some damage from that, but maybe got the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, car looks pretty clean, guys. He might be still in contention in that 35 car, so maybe the good old net code saved him a little bit, but looks like some guys are looking to pay. They all fake. Maybe about the back half of the first dozen cars, about 7th on back, Mason Maggio in 6 comes in and pits, and I believe he's going to be coming in to get some fuel, maybe tighten this car up. Back half of the field also pitting. Looks like the Kingdom cars are in. Josh Cottle, Jacob Hayes, Jack Bailey, Brian Smith, Lance Ripka, but most of the guys up front decided to stay out. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and let's gather our thoughts for the end of this race. Looks like we're going to be around just under 10 laps to go, maybe 11 laps to go. So we're going to have a crazy finish here. We're going to go side by side here. Don't go away.
And the field will go into the hands of 2311's Mitchell DeYoung. A pace car down for the first time in 2021. Let's go racing from Daytona. It started with about 4 cars smacking the outside wall. They scattered at a 2. No caution though. We stay green. And now to the race lead goes the 97 to clamp it with his William Byron Esports teammate of Nick Ottinger. They are sitting first and second with 21 to go. 10 to Machida Bolin got a little bit of the fence. They're going to pack in. Oh, and there's contact. Clampets into the outside wall. A huge one. And on his own, Michael Conti wins the season opener at Daytona for career win 11.
Paul.
Welcome back, guys. Back here at Talladega Superspeedway for the Gobbler's Knob. If that's real, that's hilarious.
That's real.
Gobbler's Knob Deer Camp 200 here in the ONEwraps Windshield Deep Racing League Cup Clash here at Talladega Superspeedway. We are in it for a great finish, just underneath 10 laps to go. Maybe a little bit more, around 11 to go. 1 to go this time, guys. Why don't we get some picks here, Booth? I think we got some good front runners, but I'm here. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Who are your picks for tonight? We'll start off with Sam, since he's actually been here for the whole entire event, and then we'll go to Sean.
Well, I've been keeping my eye on this guy the whole race, and I haven't said his name one time, but I think the contender of the race is going to have to be Brett Bunkari.
Okay.
He's kept himself out of trouble somehow. He got around that last one. I haven't said his name much. I think he's the one to watch.
I thought you were about to say Casey Pierce for a second there, Sam, and if you recall, you don't have a very good track record with picking him. But I got another pretty obvious one with this one, a guy that's had a very good last couple weeks in the league. I got to say Landon, man. You can't go against the 75 in this race. He's been very strong, calculated his moves. Car is still fairly clean. So, as you can see, he started back in 19th, currently worked his way up to 5th, he's being shown. But this is definitely Landon's for the taking. We'll see if Fleck is on his side and he can bring it home.
Well, guys, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all in.
You
I
Chris Davis?
I apologize in advance once again. I am going with the Doobie Brothers Chevrolet Monte Carlo of Chris Davis. He has proven all night he has been the contender of this race the entire night. He has been the man to beat. Him and Andy Trupiano. If either of these guys don't win, I'll honestly be shocked. They've been working together all race long. Andy, your leader. Chris right behind him in third. These guys have been jockeying for position the entire race, but I'm going to give it to Chris here as my pick, as we're going to be coming to 11 to go, guys. And this is it. This could very well be the last restart if they can kind of keep it together. We're going to be looks like we're going to have about 17 guys on the lead lap, maybe a couple stragglers as far as lap cars are concerned, but about 15 or so guys on this last restart, hopefully, in contention. Pace truck is off, 65 grueling miles an hour. Andy slowly bringing them through the tri-oval, and we'll have to see if he gets a good restart or not. He's been doing pretty well, but behind them, Chris Davis, I think, like you said, Sean, he's been starting in second gear, and he's been bottlenecking this inside line. Does it just again, yep. Behind them, also, Casey Pierce, not a good restart in the number 18 machine. That's going to single file out this first 4. They're going to get single file all the way back, all the way to 7. Brett Bunkari on that outside line. Eric Wilson on the scene after being involved in that big one out of turn 4. He's emerged into the top 10.
Eric Wilson has a lot of damage on that car, the number 4 machine back there. He's willing his way into the top 10. Up front, though, it's getting dicey here. Andy Trupiano to the inside, blocks the 9 of Grayson Ward. That's going to leave Chris Davis with no help. Landon Huffman with a huge run. He elects the bottom. He's going to stay there. Ward looking to the back side of Andy Trupiano. Davis falls into line. 5-car breakaway at the front of the field as Trupiano leads him off of turn 4.
Andy Trupiano has not been he's not shied away from racing this race. He still shows the point here, coming back to 10 laps to go at the start-finish line. Landon Huffman makes a move to the outside lane. He's got Casey Pierce, and here come the hard chargers. Who is going to be able to hold on? You got the top 5, the most 5 competitive cars tonight under a blanket.
Grayson Ward thought about going to the bottom. He decided to go and follow suit with Landon Huffman, get right in front of him. And here comes Grayson Ward on that outside line. Chris Davis thinking about going underneath. Andy Trupiano thinks better of it, lines back up behind his basically teammate this whole entire race. Landon Huffman slices to the bottom, and he's going to look for the lead. Gets loose on that inside line. Grayson Ward by himself. Landon Huffman, what a move into the inside.
What a move by Landon Huffman. My pick to get to the lead, and he does so. All the help is on the bottom right now, but watch that outside lane through this trial. We mentioned it ad nauseum through this broadcast. Grayson Ward's going to have the momentum out of the trial. Well, there it is. He's going to lead this lap. He's got Casey Pierce in tow, but Landon Huffman's still there on the bottom as Ward tries to clear the 1, and he does. So move Grayson Ward back to the front, side by side for second between Pierce and Huffman off of 2.
And here come the troops back around here. Here comes Andy Trupiano. He's trying to get it wound up. Chris Davis, his buddy. That might be a new alliance formed here on the super speedways. They have worked together strong all night. They go back to the bottom. They're going to try to make something happen. Huffman comes down to cover. My phone falls out of my lap as now Grayson Ward leads him back to turn 4.
Grayson Ward maintains the lead in that Ford Thunderbird. Landon Huffman drifts out of turn 4, gets that momentum on the outside line brewing. His teammate right behind him in Casey Pierce, he's looking to get into the mix on that outside line. Big run out of the tri-oval. Landon Huffman looks like he's going to be your leader by a nose at the line. 9 laps to go this time by. Going into turn 1, Andy Trupiano all over the back of Grayson Ward. He gets loose because of Chris Davis being all over him. These guys are getting tight in the first 5 guys. Meanwhile, Brett Pancari coming to the mix.
It is go time at Talladega. 8 laps to go down the Alabama Gang super stretch. Landon Huffman, Grayson Ward in a drag race. They've got Casey Pierce and Andy Trupiano right behind them. Huffman's going to have the nose going into 3. Here comes Grayson Ward back to the bottom. Chris Davis right behind them. Doesn't really know where to go. We're going to see where he goes. That could make the difference. Could he split the middle? He's going to stay on the bottom. Huffman with that preferred line through the top of the tri-oval. Still side by side, it's Huffman and Ward through the tri-oval.
I think Huffman has the preferred lane here with just the little amount of laps to go that we have here. He's got help from Casey Pierce. Here comes Chris Davis. I think he is going to have to fend for his own here as he's trying to work with his buddy Andy Trupiano. But the top 5 here, they think they have that under control. Brett Pancari is looking on, so is Dominic Corelli. Roughly 10 race cars are going to probably settle this here at Talladega if they don't wreck. But I believe there's something to brewing here down the backstretch.
2 tandems down the backstretch. Andy Trupiano pushes that number 9 machine of Grayson Ward to the lead by about a half car length. Grayson Ward going to clear the Landon Huffman machine. Landon Huffman pushes up to the 3rd lane. Casey Pierce thinking about going to the middle. Going to think better of it. Going to try to get the momentum with Andy Trupiano going to the middle, going to the outside line. Grayson Ward also goes to the outside line to block that momentum. Chris Davis by himself on the inside line. These guys trying to cut the tri-oval, make up as much ground as possible. Here comes Andy Trupiano on the outside line. 6 laps to go. Andy Trupiano moving to that outside line by himself, looking to get around Grayson Ward.
Guys, keep an eye just off of your screen here. The one of Jacob Hayes in that black and white car right there. He is coming. If you remember last season, he was the car that was leading coming to the finish here and ultimately got wrecked by the lap car. We'll see where he goes. He dives to the bottom, looks under Mason Maggio. They are checking up big time into 3. Close quarters racing. 3 cars on each lane. Where does Jacob Hayes go? It's still Ward and Trupiano duking it out off of 4.
One little mistake is going to be the key factor in this finish going green here. I think they just are flirting with disaster here. Coming to 5 laps to go right here. Andy Trupiano is going to lead this time at the start-finish line, and I think it's about to be feeding time at the zoo, as I love to say here at Talladega. Chris Davis has a blink through turns number 1 and 2. Andy Trupiano is going to show the point. Can they hang on for 5 more laps?
Top 10 separated by about 0.8 of a second. These guys are jockeying all over position. Chris Davis gets loose right behind Andy Trupiano, trying to push him down the backstretch. He makes a little bit of a mistake. That's going to give Grayson Ward the lead due to not giving the push to Andy. Andy trying to get that outside line rolling again. On the inside now, Mason Maggio has come back into the mix. 70 lap old tires for Mason Maggio. He's making it work on that inside line. He's up to 3rd. This inside line finally trying to get some momentum, but through the tri-oval, Andy Trupiano and Chris Davis get a massive run. Casey Pierce sees that, goes to the outside line, trying to battle for the lead in turn 1.
4 laps to go here at Talladega. Casey Pierce to the outside. Andy Trupiano leaves him. He's going to give Grayson Ward the help he needs on the bottom. Gets loose, still getting loose. Chasing that car out of the corner. He's going to clear Casey Pierce. Now, where does he go with this run? Landon Huffman getting blocked to the apron down the backstretch by Maggio. 3 wide down the back. Here comes Trupiano to the lead in turn 3.
Trupiano with an aggressive move, but he's got help from Casey Pierce. Oh, look what I saved right there by Jacob Hayes as everybody starts to scatter in turns number 3 and 4. Trupiano to the bottom. Here comes Pierce trying to track up a little bit. Chris Davis now going to slide into the 2nd position on the outside lane. He looks 3 wide, thinks better of it through the tri-oval. Oh, this is going to get wild, boys. Here we go. Lock it in. 3 laps to go at Talladega as they go back to turn 1. Kevin, I don't think they can keep doing this for much longer.
Tell me if you've heard this before. 3 laps to go. Pack racing for the lead. Jacob Hayes is sideways just in front of them. I said this call last year. There is a lap car down the backstretch. It's Ricky Harden about 20 miles an hour off pace. Andy Trupiano for the moment has a lead. Big push from Casey Pierce. It looks like Ricky Harden going to do the right thing, stay into that outside wall, and this inside pack is going to go around him safely. Andy Trupiano still controlling this field. Andy Trupiano going to try to stay in that middle lane and try to play both lines, but Grayson Ward going to get a huge run on the outside line.
Still between Ward and Trupiano, the 4 cars that are so dominant in this league, showing the pace now. Ward leads that lap. Trupiano, Huffman, and Pierce into turn 1. Huffman with no help on the top. Pierce doesn't know where to go. Maggio is going to have a big run right behind them. We are coming down to the Alabama Gang super stretch. Sam, who gets the slingshot into 3?
I think it's going to be Andy Trupiano. No, Casey Pierce goes to the line. They're going to be 3 wide for second. This is going to become a total crapshoot here at Talladega for who gets this lead. They go off the end of the back straightaway into turn number 3, stack them 3 wide to the penthouse. Ready, everybody? Strap down the big TV. They're coming off turn 4, coming back to the white flag.
Grayson Ward has the line that you want to be through this tri-oval, but Casey Pierce has the help behind him. Mason Maggio, Jacob Hayes, Andy Trupiano is now falling back to 5th. Grayson Ward now going to fall all the way back to 3rd. Casey Pierce, your leader, with 1 lap to go. They're going to be 3 wide. What a move by Andy. Oh, he almost got underneath Jacob Hayes. They're going to be battling for second. Mason Maggio is sideways. Jacob Hayes is sideways. Grayson Ward gets involved. Landon Huffman piles in. The entire field piles in. Casey Pierce going to be by himself down the backstretch, and I believe this is going to be it, guys. Casey Pierce going to be all alone, and it looks like Casey Pierce just got to gather his way through 3 and 4, and he looks like he's going to steal one as he leads to the final lap, and he's going to win today after being in the back for 50 or so laps. Casey Pierce, after avoiding mayhem, is going to win the Gobbler's Knob Deer Camp 200 by a mile after a huge wreck out of turn 2.
Josh Caudle coming to the line. Looks like he's going to get second over Brett Pancari back here. They're still updated the standings here. We'll get those in. Mason Maggio officially comes home 3rd. Brett Pancari going to come home 4th. Eric Wilson, a good run in 5th. Drew Cox is going to be shown in 6th. Kyle Vergata 7th. Jack Bailey 8th. And it looks like Grayson Ward is going to come home in 9th. Or I'm sorry, Grace is going to come home 10th. And Chris Davis is going to come home in 9th there. But just a crazy last lap on that road, on that ride there, Sam. It looked like the 2 older tires of Hayes and Maggio just couldn't really keep it corralled as they were working through 1 and 2, and that let Casey Pierce scoot through for the win.
Yeah, and it was just push coming to shove, and everybody had I think Casey Pierce was a sitting duck there off turn 2, and everybody was just trying to form the runs up, and it just took that little bit of contact there on the bottom lane, and that just got everybody's race kind of preferably bottlenecked off turn 2, and that collected everybody in the field. And I just want to point it out, I avoided saying his name on purpose, and look who wins the race. I completely avoided him. Casey, I hope you know, I avoided saying your name the whole broadcast, and look what happened. So
I used to throw in the worst driver in the league thing. I think that was reverse everything you've done so far. I love it.
So I just wanted to say I take full credit for this win for Casey Pierce. He did not drive that car at all. So my reverse jinx wins Casey Pierce a race.
That was I looked up in the mirror and I was like, the whole field was going. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, Casey, tell us what you were thinking. Before that, you were by yourself. You had about a snarling pack of 15 hungry dogs behind you looking to get a run into turn 3 to pass you. Tell us about what you were thinking before the inevitable, and then obviously once the big one happened, just run us. You're basically ahead of the field by 10 seconds, man.
Yeah. That was the most odd way I've ever won a race, but I'll take it. But yeah, that whole run leading up to the end there was really intense. Landon and me, we kind of worked together for a little while, and our tires got hot on the outside, and I kind of just really focused on being on the bottom there the last part of that run, just to try to keep the tires on it. And then I made that 3 wide move on Andy and kind of hung him out to drive. I just felt like I had to do what I had to do to win the race, and it put me in the lead. I don't know what was going to happen after that. It would have been tough, but I did what I could to put myself in the right spot.
Yeah, we were marked about halfway into the race. So you guys were kind of chilling, and we had a feeling that you guys were just waiting for the inevitable, waiting to make your move. But tell me a little bit about, like you said, the tires. It seemed like as the run progressed, the outside line in the corners became a little bit loose, and the inside line prevailed as the run went on. But that tri-oval, it just seemed like the high line was the right way to go. Was that the case? That's just what we saw in the booth.
Yeah.
Was that the case on track? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like the trial was all. And I think last season, me and whenever we got wrecked by a lap car there at the end, it was the same situation in that race. And me and Landon were working really well on the outside there. You make up 2 or 3 car lengths almost if you can hit it correctly. But I feel like there's a little bit to be gained from the inside group. If you can hold the guys up a little bit, kind of arc. I know it sounds weird, but arc the tri-oval a little bit, you can kind of mitigate that. But yeah, I mean it's a lot of cat and mouse. Like that whole race there at the end was just cat and mouse.
Well, Casey, I think you said it yourself. That's probably you've never won a race like that before, and I don't think I've ever seen someone win a race like that before. So congratulations, man. Winner in that number 18 Blue Ridge Tire ONEwraps machine. The mic is yours, man. Who do you want to thank tonight?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for your time every week broadcasting these races. I'm sure there's things you'd rather do sometimes, but I appreciate that. And obviously Landon and Dylan, the Windshield Deep, put on a great league to have fun and put on a good show.
All right, everybody. Casey Pierce, your winner of the Deer Camp 200 Gobbler's Knob Deer Camp 200 here in the ONEwraps Cup Clash. Congratulations, Casey.
What a race, guys. That was something. I'm glad I got my stuff working to watch the end of this thing, because that was worth the wait. I hope everyone watching got a good show tonight. Here are your final results here. That's the Gobbler's Knob Deer Camp 200. That is a name and a half for a race, but there you see Casey Pierce taking the win, a 5.5 second win at Talladega. That doesn't happen too often. Josh Caudle, a good run in second. Mason Maggio, I believe that's a career best finish for him in Windshield Deep in third. Brett Pancari, a good run at fourth. Eric Wilson might be another career best finish for him in fifth. Drew Cox, sixth. Kyle Vergata, seventh. Jack Bailey comes home in eighth. Chris Davis in ninth. And Grayson Ward, one of the most dominant cars of the whole race, just gets caught up in that wreck. He still gets a top 10, though. He rounds out the top 10, 22 seconds off the lead.
And running out the rest of your lead lap finishers, Dominic Corelli survives to finish 11th. Landon Huffman nearly got around that wreck on that high line, got collected in it last second. He will finish in the 12th position. Andy Ciupiano dominant all night long, along with him and Chris Davis and Grayson Ward. Tough to see none of those guys come out with the victory. Jacob Hayes finishes 14th. Lance Ripka finishes 15th, 41 seconds behind the field. Dylan Wilson in 16th. First guy one lap down. Ricky Harden survives to finish 17th. Spencer Dickinson, involved in an early incident, finishes 18th. Seth Harrelson, tough break early on, finishes 19th. And Matt Kingsbury finished 20th.
See, 21st, Brian Smith, 7 laps down. 22nd, Ethan Tingler, 8 laps down. 23rd in the 23 car, Matt Light, had a good run going, just caught a bad break. 24th, Derek Nickel. 25th, Oliver Cordell, 15 laps down. 26th, Max Price. 27th, Lee Norton. 28th, Dexter Knight Jr. 29th, Tim Tripler. And 30th is everybody's fan favorite, Davey Davis.
Tough break for Davey. I believe he had internet issues. Tough break for both the Doobie brothers. I apologize once again to Chris, but I really don't think a jinx was part of that. That took out the entire field. I don't think I have that much power, but that'll pretty much wrap it up for us tonight, guys. Next week, we are going dirt racing. If you thought this was crazy, we did an all-star race last season here at Eldora, and it was pretty wild. Jacob Hayes was your winner there last season, so look for him to be the favorite, looking to see if he can get his first career official win in Windshield Deep history. Tune in next week at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. I don't know why I got out of order there. And then I believe it's 3 p.m. Hawaiian. I don't know my time zones anymore. Thanks Daylight Savings. But with Sean Butler, Sam Watson, I'm Kevin McAdams. I led tonight. I don't know how, but tonight was
very well.
Tonight was fun, guys. I appreciate you guys sticking around after the raids. It's been fun. Y'all have a good night.